You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the July 25th, 2023 meeting of Long Beach Park Board. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Okay, call to order. This is the July 23rd, 2023 Parks Board meeting. First order of business is to approve June minutes. I read through those.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's everybody.
Mhm.
Okay, ongoing business. We're gonna have some stuff come off this list today, which is good. So first of all, let's do activities coordinator updates, please. I think you're on. Yeah, I actually saw you at work this week.
You did.
Yeah,
You did.
our natural environment.
I don't know about that. Camp is up to 189 kids, which is higher than last year at the end of our camp year, so that's great. We are taking our annual zoo field trip tomorrow. Rain finally left the forecast, so that's great. We've added something new this year. I don't think that I said this at the last meeting. The LaPorte County Library has a bus that comes to educational things. And so they have come twice now. They'll come a total of 4 times by the time summer camp is done. And it is actually a STEM bus that has booths and materials and robots and all kinds of things. And one of our former directors went on to work there and shared this was available, and our kids have loved it. They adapted for the age groups and skill levels. It's been great for 3-year-olds through our 11-year-olds. So it's been really cool. We are having the fire department come on our last day to spray down the kids, which is their favorite part. We have Art in the Park coming up this weekend where we will be involved as well. I will be there on behalf of the activity side of things. We do have camp staff that will be supporting the kids trail that's there. We are looking to add more art activities. That seems to be the feedback that we get as a request for more of the art related things offered there. Our art instructor for Saturday Arts came up with a suggestion because we don't have more reoccurring. You're fine. We don't want to add necessarily more reoccurring things like the first Saturday Arts, but more specialty events. So she suggested, based on the feedback we've had from probably our last 5 or 6 classes, doing a more intensive clay class that would be over the span of 2 weeks, multiple times meeting to work through an entire project, really honing on those skills. And it would be a smaller class size. And we've already had 3 to 5 people that have expressed interest wanting to commit, assuming we can coordinate and get rooms, because it does require repeated meetings to complete the project over a period of time. So I'm excited to add that. If it goes well, one of those per quarter that are more of a specific art skill medium kind of class to target that need. That's it. If you don't have any questions for me.
What's your limit for kids before you can't handle any more kids?
So that is our total number enrolled. It's not how many are present.
Okay.
We're averaging no higher than normal numbers. We have 100 is what we've been pretty steadily at, except for yesterday and today, we've been down to like 80, but we can have up to over 200 based on the ages of our kids and how we have our staff. My goal is to never have to turn away people because of our numbers. And like by adding 2 more counselors this year, we've easily accommodated what we thought was going to be the trend this year. So we're not close, but it is for overall enrollment. That's the highest that we've had since I've been here. So
Awesome. Good job. Good job.
where's the field trip? The zoo.
Nice.
We go to the zoo, and they actually changed this year, which is really nice. We can get in a half hour before everybody else can, which is helpful with a group of 80 to 100 kids, adults coordinating drop off and everything. So I was thrilled that they added that for us. That's a gift.
Again, man.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, I don't see Janice here for the garden club update, so let's get past that unless she joins. Stop update, these are two that have been on here for what, 18 months, maybe longer. So stop 21 and stop 23 railing is finally finished.
Yeah, the invoices have been submitted. I'm not sure if they've been paid yet.
Yeah, we'll pay them as fast as they got to us to do the work. But anyway, let's pay them. They did a good job, took forever, but looks really good. So take those off. All right, let's talk about encroachments at stop 29. This is probably gonna take a few minutes. We've had a lot of activity since last meeting. So last meeting, we were waiting on a survey from the state. I saw them doing the survey, but they hadn't had markers out yet. Now they do have markers out. I met John Wall out there on Monday with the homeowner to the west, Mr. Workman, Tim. And we spent about an hour walking through it. So you guys all have a copy of the beacon. It's not the survey. We don't have the survey in front of us yet, but I can tell you just from being there that day that this represents where the stakes are close enough to have the discussion tonight about the generalities of what's going on there. So let me walk you through it.
I did talk to Steve Thate last night. He was off today. He said he'll do the drawings tomorrow, but like you said, it's, you can see the marks there.
Yep. Okay, so starting at the top, and I've got pictures and Kendra took pictures. So if you've seen this, look over here, Joy and Anita. That pink dot right there is the, where the original 40-foot stop property would have been. So that obviously sits where this blue corner is that's on the tic-tac-toe board looking parking pad. This is where that truck is sitting. So that's on the corner there. And the reason that is on the parking pad, according to Tim Wortman, is that he got an easement from the town for 6 feet running the length of the stop down to this corner here. The first corner that jets in to the west. So he's saying that, Kendra can see this, but he's saying,
So he's saying we reduced our lot down to 34 feet.
less than that, I believe, because my thinking is our lot, 40 feet is this. At the wide part.
Well, no, because I can tell you how this happened. I had a long conversation with Jim John last,
Okay,
and this is what
okay,
originally happened. The town built stairs on, let's call this bottom one over here.
the small
Yeah, the small one. When actually our 40 feet was over here to this side.
one. Okay,
So
so you can accurately,
we built stairs on our property. We didn't,
25 years ago or something.
I don't know when it was. So, however, they worked it out. They then said, okay, we'll give the town where you built the stairs, but we're gonna take this corner up here. And
Interesting.
But then also wasn't there some agreement with,
I think they had thinking of the other next time.
30,
Yeah.
because 30's got a diagonal, that's a
Yeah.
year. The other thing,
oh, okay.
and the Workman thing also, so Tim Workman also said, and I actually this was on yours. You see this little white,
Yeah.
no, it's in between our path and the edge of the driveway. There's a white kind of concrete looking line.
So they, yeah.
He said at some point in time, that concrete is still sitting there now. He's saying that the stairs to the beach used to be on that at some point also. And that's actually still there. So he's saying that in addition to what you just said, Joy, there was also an agreement that they would build the wooden stairs all the way down to the beach, which they did. This is Wortman. And we gave them that 6-foot easement. So they got an additional to this pink line, this pink mark on their pad. That's how they were able to get that amount of room all the way down to the first corner, because they built the boardwalk.
So Joe is looking, through BZA documents. I mean, the Bortons have only, they built that house 10 years ago. So he's looking through BZA documents, building commission things to see if anywhere we have any documentation. Otherwise, Tim Bortman should hopefully can produce some kind of
He
documentation.
thought he had something, he was gonna look and email it to me, so that was his version, and I don't know how this thing at the bottom works, it's irrelevant because it's public trust anyway, at the end.
Yeah, and if you look on Beacon, if you look at this rectangle down at the bottom right here,
Yeah.
that says it belongs to the town on the beach. So,
Thanks.
Yeah, interesting, all right. So there are several things going on here, and it's hard to visualize it without going down there. So I can zoom in on it with this thing. So these trees are the most recently planted trees that are in the picture that Kendra and I both seen. There's an additional set of trees that were built with that sort of pan-placed rock wall situation that is right.
use past it, I think.
Yeah, right there. That business there,
Okay.
that's the most recent thing that happened. Some of it is, some of it isn't. That's standing on the boardwalk looking back.
Basically, right, like the first kind of 3 trees, so maybe 4 feet.
It looks to me like, yeah, if you stand out and look at the marker, that is the hardest to see. That would have been my pictures, not Kendra's. There we go. That marker there is that. There's a marker right here, you can barely see it, is that. They're actually up on top of his rock wall that he built. And he said he was surprised that those marks were put there, because when he had it surveyed, he was quite certain that they didn't want to build on what they knew to be town property. However, this gravel drive, isn't a driveway, but this gravel ramp is what they use to get stuff, I think, out of the back of their garage, or back of their house, down to the rocks now, is. Apologize for being around. That is that.
Okay.
So that is entirely on our property. And the one stake is like right up here, right on the base. And the other stake is right on the very tip of the edge of the wall there. So we're talking about like 6 inches before it would have been over the wall. And so that is very close, not as far as it looks on this beacon, but the entire gravel pad is most certainly on our property.
And what is Mr. Water willing to do?
So we were primarily, I didn't have any idea that that was going to be a thing. So I wasn't prepared really to talk about that the lower trees that has the rock thing built around it, and after that is on our property. So I think 3 of those trees are on our property. The rest of them are over here on his side. So he said, and I'm trying to not put words in his mouth, but just kind of give you the paraphrase of the conversation. He's like, look, we know we should have done this. I told him it would have been this may have been okay, it wouldn't have been, but if you came to a park board meeting and said, hey, we want to help you beautify the stop and donate some money, we would have worked together to come up with the plans that we would have been fine. Dune grass, something we find acceptable down there, what have you. But so he acknowledges he shouldn't have done that. He said, look, if you come to me and you say, sorry, we want it all gone, period. He will remove it, he will not complain, and it will be all gone. If we want him to help beautify it and remove it, then he's open to that discussion as well. He's happy. So he's open to any type of discussion, but he wanted to be clear that he would really like to be able to beautify that piece of land that's just right now sand and weeds, which I'm fine with too. He also was talking about doing something all the way up the boardwalk, and I said that the time to do that would be when we replace the boardwalk. And then we will talk about landscaping or getting rid of all the underbrush or whatever it is up the boardwalk. But the immediate concern, the reason why he said he did, our new aluminum goes out over these rocks. So it's way over here. And so they were thinking people can walk out on the new aluminum extension and have a clear view on either side of the lake. And that's not ever going to be in their view. And it's only going to prevent people from seeing from here up into their property. They were trying to give themselves some privacy. And my point to him was, maybe that's true, but these are eventually going to get super tall and they're going to grow into the boardwalk. And it's going to block. They're going to be massive trees, and we don't want them there for that reason.
And also if you, just want to add, if you do walk down there, you can stop right now and it's really nice. You could, if they're trees, because they're low, but in 5 years, they're going to be high. You could stop right there and have a cup of coffee or just hang out and lean your back against and not have to go all the way down to the meadow.
Yeah.
But in 3 years, you're not going to be able to because they're going to have trees. And so it does block the view. I mean, it forces you to continue on another 20 feet at least. My math is bad, maybe 20 feet, but when they get bigger, if it was a dune grass or something, that would look nice. And then it would, I think, solve the problem, because it would be prettier for them to look at, for everyone to look at, and it wouldn't get so tall and it would interfere with the people traversing or just wanting to stop and not go all the way to the meadow and stop right there and look at the water.
Yep.
I think dune grass would look nice in the whole area, including this gravel path.
Yeah, my suggestion,
I don't know that we'll ever be able to do anything up at the top.
Well, there's nothing to do. This is,
No, I mean the very top of this driveway, even if it comes to where we can find out.
because of the pins right there, you might bring me right there.
if nobody can find documentation of the easement, that is a whole different subject. So that's, I guess.
It's still a town make them take out their
Probably not. We've got other circumstances with their septic and other things. So there's lots of different precedents that have been set, even since I've been around. So what I tried to explain to him was, we're trying to be consistent. We're trying to handle things that are happening right now. Like first, it's just like, see the snake, kill the snake. If someone plants a tree where they shouldn't plant it, get it gone, like right away. We did that at 23, where they planted some trees up at the top, they immediately removed them. So that's a precedent. There was also the discussion about 18, where there was a giant driveway, paved driveway up against the side of somebody's house that was being used in a certain way. So that was the whole thing. That was a different level of the gravel situation. So it's interesting. Do we need that spot? Probably not. Is anybody going to use it? Probably not. But, and the other part of it, you look at some of the other spots we have in Long Beach, there are people that have pavers and paths built into our stop to get down to the beach. And we've allowed that to happen, so I just think we have to be reasonable. We have to make sure that we're being consistent at the same time. There's a lot to consider. If you know, maybe we handle it in stages where we get the main things that we had a problem with in the very beginning, which is trees. He's already said we'll remove them. Let's get them removed.
I agree.
And then, so if we talk about this in phases, and I know we need to get on with your thoughts, I'm not trying to push you in any direction, but let's, phase one being, let's get the trees fixed. And let's come up with some landscaping that we like and that he likes. And if he wants to split it with us or whatever, then fine. We'll do that. If he wants to donate to the stop, and that we've done that at 19, there's another person, you know, or 16, I mean, where we've done that. Private bank, fine. And I think that problem can be solved pretty quickly. And I think he's going to be very amicable to doing that.
Yeah, I think that's great.
So I agree with all that, except for, I mean, just like a lot of things you said, like, this is exactly why the precedent should not be do what you want and ask for forgiveness later. Because we went down there and asked him to stop, and he said no. He said, give us, so I think that he should reimburse us for the cost of the survey, first of all, because we were clear that is our property. And he said, after you get the survey, then I'll take it off if I have to. So this is, again, just so much time, money, and energy that the town spends that we shouldn't have to. So I think we should be reimbursed for the cost of the survey first. And then if we come to an agreement, doing grass or whatever we all think with his input and maybe other neighbors or other people stop, find something that's not invasive and won't block the views. But if that gravel path stays, which is fine, but I think we need to delineate it with some sort of split rail fencing, even if it's like a fence here and then it breaks and here and here and here, so that people know, like, this is town property, so they can continue to use the gravel path, but so can anyone else. I mean, that, because the precedent then gets set of, well, on July 24th, 2023, the town said we could just continue to use it, and now one day we'll wake up and there'll be pavers there, not gravel, and then it's a whole huge like situation. Like, we're not saying it has to come out, in my opinion. I think it'd be fair. We're not saying it has to come out. We're not saying you can't stop using it. It's totally fine. But like, if somebody else wants to put a paddleboard up there for an hour while they go up and have a sandwich, they can, because that is town property. So you put a gravel path on town property, and we wouldn't have done it, but I guess we can leave it, but it's not going to be exclusively yours. They can't have exclusive ownership and make other people think at that stop that's not town property. When I was just up there looking at it, a girl asked me, and she said, what are you doing? And I told her, and she goes, oh, I thought they owned all the way to the stairs. Because that's the perception. So perception becomes reality. So as long as it's open to everybody, and maybe we just, and for their privacy, put up some sort of like low split rail fence that's not ugly, so that people see, like, oh, whoops, like, okay, stop here. This is where their property starts and public is. So if I am standing here for some reason, I know not to go over there. But if there's no marking, it just becomes confusing. And
so, but are you saying we would put a split rail fence from the rock revetment, which would be through all those trees actually, and then like up to stop at the wall?
yep.
And then go from the wall over until where our other fence is, or where there's some stopping point, but then have an opening there to where they can get from here down through the gravel.
Something like that. I mean, I'd have to visualize it, but that.
I get your point. You're trying to show.
We are liable for anything that happens in that area, because it's town property.
Mhm.
So I don't know what the ordinance do there, or pull down there, or whatever. But
Yeah, I
we
didn't
are
think about that, but if they're
a
pulling
liability
boats,
issue.
they're pulling boats and stuff out of there, out of the gravel, and somebody gets hurt or whatever, like. And then we just need to know, like, if because this stock's sort of been on hold for so many years because of the erosion and stuff, like. We've got a good thing going now with all the maintenance and stuff, like, we will maintain our area, they maintain their area, like. The gray area stuff is when it gets confusing and causes problems, and then people show up in 40 years and go, well, my grandfather had a handshake deal with the town, and that's when that stuff happens. So I say we just be clear, like, here's a little line, a low split rail fence that's not ugly, maybe, like I said, it
It's
doesn't
like
have.
they did at 18.
Yeah, or even less, like, or like, put it for like, I don't know, like 3 feet and then stop it for 3 feet and then again for 3 feet or stop it. So that if there is walking that needs to be done between, you're not saying like you can't. Just open to like that type of thing, but I think we need to say to people, this is the town, this is not the town. And everyone can use what's the town's, including the Mormons, but so can other people. And then it's fine. And all we need to do is take out those tall trees, put something that's agreeable to all parties and delineate somehow what is town where we can. I mean, I'm not saying put a split rail fence up on what looks like a huge retaining wall.
I know what you're saying.
That would
I
serve.
get what you're saying. The primary is really this time,
Yeah,
because this is almost defined by the actual top of this, because these are pavers. It goes from pavers to gravel. And there to there. Does everybody agree with all that? Does everybody, because what I was gonna do is we come up with what our proposal would be, and then just go have a conversation with them. And the conversation about me, just like it was the other day, where I'm not allowed to agree with you on any decision. We're gonna have this conversation about, here's some thoughts from the Parks Movement. And I also encouraged him to come to the meeting, I'll give you a license today. We can have a conversation at one of these meetings in public, or we can all go down there. I feel like we're gonna come up with a solution,
yeah,
but I think it's not gonna go well if we're like face-to-face speaking.
yeah, it's a weird prop, yeah, you need to like stand there and visualize it.
Well, that, and once you get, if this ends up being a work situation, it just becomes untenable almost, and it'll take us 15 steps back. And we got our trees, but now we're gonna get into legal about something else that doesn't need to be. So
Yeah,
the point is, can we come up with a nice compromise that involves delineating the stops, but it has breaks in it, like you said, or whatever. I like that idea a lot. I'm hoping that will catch them off guard. Because we really didn't discuss that driveway much at all. We were mainly talking about the environment, the trees. But he was totally fine with trees.
Yeah, I just think it's just when this stuff comes up, to be fair, at every stop, we've tried to just like, what's ours is like, we don't go on anybody's town on their property and say, so, but it should work in both ways. And then just, it is what it is. And I think that's we're working with stuff that's already been there and, yeah, I mean, hopefully that'd be a good solution.
Okay, and he may say, hey, since that fence is gonna be so visible to my entire home and family, can I pay for it and put up the kind of things I want? And the answer to that would be, if we agree with it, then why not?
Yeah.
If it passes building code and, we agree with it, I don't see why that's gonna be a problem.
And I'm not thinking, I don't know what for Chase is, but I'm not thinking they just want like a fence, like 6-foot privacy fence, but just more like, physical fence so that there is,
Yeah, I don't think he would either. And you can obviously tell, for people to get up there and use any of that, they're gonna have to traverse this thing.
right, but just keep in mind, in 5 years from now, we might be sitting there and that's all sand and the rocks are done. And then people would want to I remember laying out on Mary Memons seawall because that was the only place you could get tan when I was like 10 because the water was so high. So like, and I had to lay between those like things that go out that her seawall's like that, but
now they don't see what with her older sister Debbie.
like this is the thing in your back. But so that someday could be a spot where maybe you would have, that could actually be a spot that people are gonna need someday to sit at because the beach gets so high and we've all seen it. I mean, there's pictures online of all this almost underwater right now, that, so it looks good right now, like, oh, it's what, but someday that might mean when people are actually needing to sit and to go to the beach, because that's the highest point, and we need to be able to give that to the people
Yeah,
at Stop 29.
so that fence will sit, I think, like 4 feet or so behind these trees. And these 3 trees are a good distance away from, I mean, you see how far that is.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good distance. Yeah, dew grass will really be right there. I think it'll grow there too. It'll get nice.
Yeah.
All right, so there's really nothing to vote on, right?
No,
Because we're not making the decision. So the decision is we are willing to go to step with him and we know what our boundaries are. We need to find out what his, what he would like to see happen, because he doesn't have any boundaries. Boundaries are surveyed.
Do we have to wait for the,
I should have a survey tomorrow. I'll forward it to you guys when I get it.
Okay. And I need to talk to John, because John was down there with us. And John was involved with all the legal, town council was involved with all the legal and all that. So I don't know if, and John Cook was on this call as well, given the past legal action with the Wortmans in the town, I don't know if that means that whatever we decide, we need to run by the town first or not. We should probably double check on that too, make sure that we're not gonna stir something back up again that the town's not interested in stirring up. But I think everything we're saying sounded reasonable. I think everything he was saying sounded reasonable when I was talking to him. And then the other big one, Anita, for the notes, is we gotta get documentation that easement somehow.
about
The easement, the 6 foot.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks for meeting with him and everybody, Zach.
yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
thanks, Ed.
No problem. Just want to get it resolved. John, you got any questions about anything that we were talking about? I know you're not looking at the drawings and the surveys and all that they're looking at, so it might be hard to pick up on what we're saying. You're muted, by the way.
Yeah, I know. One more time, what'd you say, Zach?
Were you following the conversation on 29?
Yes, I was trying to.
I know we're talking about looking at all the drawings and everything, so just making sure that you're okay with the course of action, which is basically we're gonna go to him and talk to him what we want to happen. We want trees we want to be gone, we want to, we'll come up with a plan for landscaping. He said he was willing to help fund that, great. And then we're talking about some sort of a low split rail fence or something that delineates where our property starts and his property ends. That goes pretty far into that little jutted in area that he's been.
Yeah, that's a good idea, good suggestion, and I would hope they'd agree to that.
Yeah, all right, well, that's what we'll do. I'll let you know how that conversation goes. Like I did last time on the email. So any other comments on Stop 29 before we move on?
No, thank you.
Okay, Art in the Park, I guess, Joy, you want to announce the date and.
We're ready, you guys. Pray for no rain. Belly Flop is all in. They're advertising on their Instagram or something. I don't even know how to do that money.
Just like Facebook.
Okay. They're gonna have a hot dog stand outside and then they're full menu inside and they'll stock up so they won't run out by 10 o'clock this year. And Pepe's pulling his taco truck in Thursday night just to make sure he's ready for Saturday. And I think we've got the community center already. We've got room 14 already. We'll be taking donations for posters. We've got a silent auction for an artist signed Laura Sprague poster. Sarah's gonna be in the courtyard serving light refreshments, I heard.
All right. Good for there.
Okay. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be a nice turnout and I hope everybody can go.
Yeah, yeah, there's like a slight chance of no money, but movement.
Yeah,
Hopefully we'll get there.
we did try to configure in our minds, like, could we move everyone inside into the gym? It's possible.
Maybe start.
And I know you thought within that, Ross is gonna take the net down on Friday, Thursday, when he's done with camp, the poles will stay, people just have to work on the poles, then he can put the net back up himself one day for camp, and then it's up, and you guys don't have to mess with it.
Okay, sounds good. I hope we have a good turnout and I hope to see you all there.
Yeah, you'll see me and my whole family there, so it's good. All right, pickleball striping. You're gonna have to table this one again.
Yes, Chief has reached out to Annette, twice when I was at his office, and I didn't ask him the last few days, so I will check with him again.
Okay. Cottonwoods is stop 16, Joy.
Anita and I actually met with the Stop 16 residents at their little meeting and, you know, there were a lot of people there that were sympathetic to the trees. They love the trees. The trees are really important to the town, especially because of stormwater that they absorb. So CJ wasn't really happy that we offered up to do the $2,800 worth of pruning over his deck. And we would ask Christian to prune as aggressively as he could without harming the tree. And CJ didn't think that was good enough. He wants the town to cut the trees back all the way to his property line. We told him we weren't going to do that. But he has the right to, although I asked him to check with his attorney to make sure that you can't cut them so aggressively that you kill a tree. So that's where we stand, and I've asked him when he gets a contractor to let us know and when they're gonna do it, just so we could document it. And simple as that, that he had every right to do it. We understood his concerns. But, you know, he built his deck under those trees. We didn't plant those trees over us, so.
Yeah. And if we cut back trees everywhere they were overheating someone's property, we would not have any trees in Long Beach.
If we got that already started, it would never end.
You would also have no money,
Yeah.
it's so expensive.
Okay.
But he knows that if he cuts back without talking to you or aggressively and the tree dies, he knows that you don't let him.
It could be, yeah. Okay. Okay, well, thanks for dealing with that, both of you. Number 8 is, I guess I'll leave this on ongoing, even though it's really not our purview. I just think it's an interesting discussion because nobody really knows who's handling this, but the boats on the beach thing, I think it's getting worse and worse almost every week. When I go down there, there's something new that's being brought down, a new boat of some sort. The DNR is just telling you that they're talking to Indianapolis. Chief knows the head of the DNR, I can't remember his title, knows him personally and said that if we don't start hearing something, he will call in and have a conversation with him. But somebody from Indianapolis was supposed to come up here, go up and down the shore on a boat and look at the stuff and take some pictures. And if they did that, they will probably be alarmed. But I don't know that that's happened. So I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I'll keep plugging them about once a month and see if they're going to do something. I don't anticipate we're going to see any movement on that this summer or this fall. I just don't. From the tone of this email, it just seems like nobody wants to address it because they think they're going to get sued. And I know that it's not under Long Beach's purview to handle that. It's either the state police or it's the DNR. I don't know who else would be responsible for that.
I can't tell you, I worked with the DNR collecting data and I just added it to the 20 years of data they have in the basement. No one ever looked at it.
Well, someone's going to have to eventually, because it's going to end up looking like more of a parking lot every year, and then somebody's going to have to deal with it.
So on that note of people just putting things on the beach, it was interesting yesterday, neighbors of mine were at the beach and people just at step 23 who tend to put out chairs and a gazebo type of thing, even though they're not there, and someone with children put themselves with chairs in front of their gazebo and chairs that are down there, and they were told to leave, that they couldn't sit there. And then another neighbor heard them saying to leave, and they said, "You can't make us leave. We're not doing, we're not doing anything." So it's still interesting how the beach belongs, apparently, to some people
In their minds.
in their
It's a
beliefs.
gazebo without even the top on
Yes,
it. Yeah, very familiar with that.
yes.
It was actually on top of the, driveways just now. Looked like I thought they were throwing it out. I got excited. Yeah, that metal, that
Mhm.
fake gazebo.
That's good, because it's gonna end up getting in the beach, it's gonna be on the land, it's gonna be in the water, floating around, okay. All right, so that's it for ongoing business, so old business, which is similar to ongoing, the AD access, stop 15, Joy.
I talked to Jeff today. What do you guys' schedules look like next Tuesday at 5 p.m. and we stop 15?
This coming Tuesday, I might be out of town for work, if I'm not out of town, then I'll do my best. But that, on the low probability on Tuesday.
August 1st, at what time?
5 p.m. at stop 15.
If I'm not in town, I'll be there.
Okay, I talked to the neighbor, Bob, he can be there at that time.
Okay, so you say 5 p.m. and the global can do it too?
And Jeff said Tuesday worked for him, so.
I can do.
Okay, so Tuesday, 5 p.m. stop 15. We'll meet with Global and the neighbor to the west.
Okay, and if I can't be there, then by all means, keep doing it.
Okay. I will tell you, Jeff told me that he's checking the DNR website. They haven't asked for the pre-proposal yet, but they have done the topographic survey. And he has drawn up a little design, pre-design, from the stuff we talked about when we were down there with him. So he'll bring that and his topographic survey, and we can talk to him.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
And I actually saw people using that stuff this past weekend. I've never seen that before. Yeah. Okay, new business. 10-minute unloading zone abuse and parking on streets. I'm noticing it more obviously where I live because I'm down there all the time. But stop 24 over the weekend, there was constantly cars parked at the 10-minute unloading zone for hours. To the point where it was full, couldn't be used. And then when I was walking up from the beach at about 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, there were 4 cars parked on the property with all the dune grass going up the hill, parked off to the right there on St. Lawrence. And it was a traffic jam there because those cars were parked on the side and then you couldn't get cars around it and people were walking back to the, I mean, I was walking with my paddleboard, nobody could go anywhere. It was very difficult to navigate. I immediately took pictures of the cars and contacted Chief Pilstack and those, I don't know if those specific cars were addressed then or not, but by the morning before I went down there at 7 a.m. and there were no parking signs on Bob's property. So Bob was happy that the no parking signs are there. Chief is going to work on getting more permanent versions of the no parking signs to go on Bob's property so people don't do that. It's getting exacerbated by the fact that there's no parking back behind town hall anymore. And I don't think those were residents because I was down at 23 and 24 and it was literally a lot of people there that I had never seen in my life that were abusing the beach in various ways. So it was a frustrating day and we need to get that addressed because if that becomes the rumor and the common thing that, hey, you don't have to go to Washington Beach, we can go up here and park and stop 24 and it doesn't thing. It's going to be an ongoing situation that's going to be really difficult to unwind. So Chief agrees with that. He sent an email to everybody in the police department today, which was great. So what I don't know is if that's happening anywhere else. Do you guys know, you guys seen people at 21 and you've seen people at 14 or the overdue?
Steve, but
28.
I will tell you that 24, people park in the communities.
Yeah.
All the time, so, and I'm sure a lot of them park in the north lot here and go to the beach. But now that they go to the north lot, they decided to slip in there.
They're finding a spot. Yeah.
I see that the no parking signs are up, top of them up and ready.
Mhm.
If it were right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did mention to Chief in Evanston because Evanston involved Northwestern University students. A lot of streets were permit parking, some streets were 2-hour parkings. It was craziness. And the traffic people would go around with some kind of stick with chalk on it. I don't know what their methodology was, but they clearly, were doing.
They mark the tires, so they.
Well, that's right. So then they know when, you know, I don't know, they keep track or if they know when they go back on the street, but there are, you know,
There's lots of ways.
there are lots of ways to do
But
it.
it's not like there's a whole bunch of them to be doing on a Saturday and all this stuff like that. Just be nice if they were controlling it, so but Chief gets it.
Yeah.
He totally understands community policing and what it involves, and I think he's gonna be all over it, so, we need more people other than just me saying it, so if you hear something or people are complaining, text them or text me and I'll text them, but it's really easy to get all of them, it's very responsive, so appreciate all the support on that.
I will add that 28 sometimes is a problem, but I would go to 28, so it's just if I happen to be in the area, that seems to be the only other hotspot, I feel like, but I can't, nowhere near like 20.
And they are doing things about golf carts that are parked in the grass and stops, that's good, they're doing that on their own, they're doing it here, so that's very good, I've not seen golf carts permanently parked anywhere up and down the beach, so that's also good.
While we're talking about parking, I forgot to mention for Art in the Park, since we don't have the north lot, the chief is gonna have, Officer Schooley is gonna be directing traffic and they have a plan. I'm not sure, I haven't been to the fireworks in years, but they have some kind of plan to park people, kind of the way they do for fireworks or something.
It's back on the tenth.
And they're gonna have some reserve officers with Officer Schooley directing parking at the event, so that was really nice of them.
And it's not, good. Okay, that's it for new business, so unless anybody else have anything else we need to talk about tonight?
No, we got,
Public comments? Anyone on Zoom? Just John, okay, thanks for sticking it out, Sarah. Any comments? No comments? Okay, next meeting is August 22nd. Is there a motion to adjourn?
yeah, motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Good meeting.